Top of the table.
Motherhood is a journey that transforms a woman's life in ways that are impossible to express in words. It is a stage in life that is filled with love, joy, and wonder. The wonders of motherhood are endless, from the moment a woman conceives to the time her child grows up and leaves the nest. Yet, motherhood is also a journey of sacrifice and selflessness. A mother puts her child's needs before her own, and she does so with grace and love. She gives up her time, her sleep time, her own desires to ensure that her child is happy, healthy, and loved. It is a journey that can be exhausting, but the rewards are immeasurable. Despite the strength displayed by women during this tough yet rewarding time, motherhood has been shrouded in myths and stereotypes throughout history. Welcome to today's episode of Top of the Table, where we will debunk myths about the idea of a perfect mom and instead recognize its realities with all its joys and challenges and celebrate the diverse experiences of motherhood. I am Sheetal, your host, and joining me today is Dr. Vasudha Agarwal, counseling psychologist with a decade's worth of experience. Hi, Dr. Vasudha. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi, Sheetal. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm so glad to be a part of this conversation today. I'm a mother of twins, 10-year-olds, and this journey has been an emotional roller coaster ride for me. And similarly, on my everyday basis, I speak to a lot of parents, lot of mothers, who are facing the same emotional roller coaster ride. So, and I think that this concept of this perfect motherhood definitely is coming, from the older generations. And also, I think the social media life that we are all living in. That's perfect mother who is holding the child very happily in her lap, in her hands, having a good time. Always leave the mothers around it with the self-doubt that, okay, am I doing something wrong? That sometimes I don't feel, very cozy with my child, or sometimes I just want to be alone and I want my own time. Sometimes I get angry at my child. Am I not doing enough? Am I not being a good mother? All these self-doubts keep on coming to the mothers. So, but without even realizing that this whole concept of motherhood only being the positive experience, only being a joyful experience is a misconception. So we all have to realize, and all this as a mothers, that, that okay, motherhood can be like any other human experience. Motherhood is also a joyful and positive experience, but it also comes along with its own ups and downs, and along with it comes all the ambivalent feelings along with it.
And I'm so glad that you spoke about all of this, Dr. Vasudha, because honestly, I am a mother myself and I'm going through all these experiences. I have a child who's just 16 months old. And trust me, you are so correct in saying that, every time you are so full of self-doubt, because every time you think that, oh my God, am I being too harsh with the child? Oh my God, am I choosing the right things for the child? Am I feeding the child right? Am I, behaving fine with the child? And there is so much of pressure around, a mother and what perfect motherhood is. And moreover, every time this idea of the strength of a woman that is peddled to you through all these different mediums, right? Advertisements and, like social media, etc., where it's glorified so much. But unfortunately, the truth is that no one talks about the perils of motherhood, the problems that come there. And, somehow because this idea is constantly peddled to us, therefore, you are not able to think and not able to connect with the real world problems that you face as a mother.
Think this, you are so right in saying that this word strength is like, this is like something magical happens that, okay, as soon as the mother is entering a motherhood, as soon as she becomes a parent, and suddenly something happens, and then, that she has to be full of strength. I remember that when I was, going through this period, and then, my surroundings. I could hear this word: when a child is born, the mother becomes like a lioness. Just imagine that, the kind of the expectation that is being carried and hold for the mother. And when she does not fulfill that expectation, that okay, she has to be like a lioness, she has to have her strength of a lioness, she has to do, have to be there for the child, protect the child, feed the child. Everything has to be perfect, perfect, perfect. That kind of notion and that kind of image that a mother carries with her. Just imagine that, what she's going through. But yes, this strength, and generally all the mothers, they portray that they are very, they have strength, they have everything perfect in the place, they are able to manage everything. But, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I feel that strength is all just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it is the multiple anxieties, multiple fears, and the guilt and the self-doubt that is holding that mother. So rather than, just superficially watching the mother, that okay, oh, she has a lot of strength, she's able to manage everything, one has to, sit themselves. If there is not a sport group around, if you don't have a very sportive partner around who can really you can talk to, so as a mother you have to take a call and you have to see that okay, what is behind this strength, what I am holding beneath that strength. That is something that, is it I'm very isolated, is it because I'm very lonely, is it like, what are the emotions that I'm holding for, behind this strength that has to be there. And also, like, okay, whether I'm really truly have carrying that strength, or is it that I'm just, just going with the flow and just, that ideal picture of motherhood that I'm holding. That's also very important. When as a mother, you might have a very ideal picture of a motherhood that, okay, I have seen my mother being very, very strong, I have to be like just like that. So you are comparing yourself with that ideal and just try to be in flow of that. But you are just ignoring your vulnerabilities, you are just ignoring your emotions that you are holding on to. And it might be like, it's like a volcano is just sitting silent, 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 and it may blow at one point of time. So it is very, very important, very, very crucial to have a very important, honest conversations around it, and to not just associate motherhood with the strength, but associate mother with all the ambivalent feelings that comes along with the motherhood, I would say.
And honestly, Dr. Vasudha, glad that you drew that parallel between a volcano about to burst, because honestly, a lot of husbands would agree with us that, the volcanoes do burst in little spurts each time, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the process, kind of, taking care of the child, etc. And somehow they just do not understand what is causing it.
Yeah.
Talking about partners, and somehow, the world again views that, okay, if you've given birth to a child and the child is with you, there cannot be any loneliness in motherhood. Okay, you cannot feel lonely, but the truth is that you are almost every day feeling the loneliest because of lack of support, lack of understanding from people. So you might be sitting in a crowded room, there might be hundreds of people coming and visiting you and the baby, but you still tend to feel lonely because there is not equal distribution of responsibilities. There is no one who is there emotionally for you, or no one there to kind of understand what you're going through. And it could be a very, very lonely time for a mother. And I think that, at this juncture, it is very important for partners, for parents, for friends to, just be there, and for smaller things, so that the mother can possibly find a little bit of time for her own self as well. What do you think?
Absolutely, Sheetal. This is so, so important. First of all, we have to understand that why that individual, even in the crowded place, when there are people visiting the mother and the mother is feeling lonely. She's feeling lonely because she knows that no one understands her. She has to put a mask of being everything in control, rather than she cannot talk about her honest feelings, what she's going through. She can't open up herself to anyone around it. So that's why that loneliness comes in. Maybe she's surrounded by everyone around her. She can't share her anxiety. She can't share her fear about her child. She can't share that, okay, she needs to do something. She feels to do something. She needs some time for herself, because that is the stereotype that, okay, mother has, once the child is born, mother has to completely take care of the child. So all these anxieties and self-doubts and all the things that, the judgments around her in the air, that is the reason for her loneliness. And how beautiful it could be that if the partner could understand her, because they are going through this parenthood, you know together. It's not the motherhood, it's the parenthood. So how nice it would be if there is a partner who can understand the emotions and the feelings of the mother, and she can open up herself to the partner. And that loneliness, we all will feel that loneliness, that self-doubt, everything will just go away once she has someone whom with she can share, or whom she can delegate the responsibility of the child. Or if not the partner, because of any financial reasons, sometimes the partner has to go out to work and he or she is not physically there. Then through the distance calling, or having someone who can emotionally support the mother, can be physically present for the, that would really create a long, large difference in the mother's life.
Absolutely. So it could be something as small as, someone coming to your place and saying that, why don't you take a nap for an hour and I'll take care of the baby? Or someone coming and telling you that just have your meal at peace and I am looking after the baby. And that in itself seems like a luxury during motherhood, isn't it?
Absolutely. All these small things, they look very small, but they make a big difference in the mother's life. Just mindfully, without even thinking about the child at that particular moment, if she can have a meal, it would be a very relaxing time for her. Maybe just taking a small nap. There are studies which shows that, why mothers get so anxious or always in there, because they are unable to sleep. They are always fearful that leaving the child, or they always are fearful that, okay, if I sleep, then if the child wakes up. So all these things, if there is, she has that surety that, okay, somebody is taking care of my child for some time, and my child is safe and I can sleep well. So that will re-energize her, and she will be on her feet again, fully energized and not burn out. And also we have to realize that, we are talking about motherhood here, and studies have shown that it is kind of one of the life stressors, just stressful life event in the mother's life. And if there are, because there are so many physical, psychological changes, hormonal changes that are happening in the mother's life. So if they are not being taken care, fully, it might have consequences later. It might, lead to psychopathology, or it might causes a lot of anxiety, which might need to be taken care of. So it's always helpful to provide that kind of support system around the mother, so that she is able to take care of the changes that are happening in her body at that moment, and it does not aggravate to any other emotional issues later.
Absolutely. And another thing that is very common and which you hear day in and out the moment you become mother is that you have to sacrifice everything. Mothers sacrifice everything for their kids, sacrificing your career, your wants, your, you know, what you love to do. Otherwise, sacrificing all of that. And someone and women, and there are a lot of women who do not want to have a child, and it's perfectly fine, right? But they are being judged for the choice that they make. And they are being seen and viewed by the world as selfish women who just can't think beyond themselves, and which is the reason why they don't want to have a child. So, what do you want to say? How does this belief system work, and how, crumbling it could be for a woman?
See, as you rightly said, that we are talking about a lot of, emotional factors involved here. So how can you say that, just, if an environment in the society around us that has a belief that every woman should be a mother. So these are basically our demands that have been put on a women in the society. So it's just shows so much about the stereotype thinking about the society that, okay, if it's a woman, she should be a mother. So that is a demand that we are putting, rather than considering her as a human being who has, her own wishes and own, personality and own thinking pattern. First, if we start realizing that a woman is a human being that with her own thinking patterns and belief systems, rather than who has to come to the demands of the society, the demand that we are putting on the women, that will be stopped. And also as a woman, she also have to have that solid self in herself to fight that system and the beliefs that, okay, I don't have to agree to everything that the society to belong to a society. So having that solid self in the women, and also the society to realize that, okay, a woman is a human being with her own thinking pattern, that will make a lot of difference. We also, this is one aspect. Then when mother is when a woman is pressurized to have a child, or she's being judged for have to be a mother, so it's completely her wish, and she has the right to decide as a human being, as the right for every human being to decide for themselves. Second point is, when she becomes a mother, then it's expected from her that she has to be very selfless. She does not have to follow her dream. She has to just look after the child and completely devoted to the child. Again, I would say that if we consider a woman to be a human being first, then secondly, it's a role of a mother that she's fulfilling. The things becomes really, really easy. For example, that, okay, she's a human being, and if her wishes are being fulfilled, if she is happy, then only she can raise a happy child. If that understanding comes, and if a woman understands that it's okay for her to be happy, and it is good it's good that if she takes care of herself and if she's happy, then only she'll be able to raise a happy child. If she can understand this connection, then automatically I think the lot of difference will come in the society, and this whole conception of perfect motherhood will go away, right? So there is nothing like a perfect motherhood. And also, like, everybody has their own idea and the notion of this perfect motherhood, right? That, okay, a mother should be like this. But but we are human beings, right? So, and the child is also a human being, a mother is also a human being. So there is not a passive relationship. There is a very active relationship that is happening between a child and the mother, and they are two human beings interacting with each other. So, and motherhood is a relationship. It's not an idea. And like any other relationship, this motherhood is also not perfect. So if we understand this from this perspective, we can understand that this perfection of this motherhood that has been, that's really spread all over, and it is making all the mothers and the new mothers, feeling very, very, very guilty and shameful, and always in the self-doubt, will really go away, will really make a lot of difference.
I think the most thing that is peddled to you before, you kind of get into this phase of motherhood is that in case if there is anything wrong with your relationship with your husband, things will improve the moment you have a child. What do you have to say about that?
Just imagine, that there is a knot, and something comes in between, and there will be more knots rather than that knot will be solved. So I think it's very important that that in a relationship, when if there is some conflict, that child is not something who is going to unknot the problem. So you have to, if there is a relationship between your husband and there is some issues between you and your husband, that has to be handled separately. This relationship is different, and this comes with along with it more responsibilities, more needs, more problems, rather than it will solve any issues. So this myth of that, okay, the relationship will improve after having a child, that is something not is helpful. Yeah, there are a lot of cases that, as Sheetal has rightly said, it's a very, very, very common misconception, but it adds to the problem, not, solve the problem.
And trust me, Dr. Vasta, what usually happens is that mothers tend to become bitter over the years because the relationship hasn't gotten better with the husband, because the husband refuses to take responsibility of the child and all the things that come along with it, right? And which is the reason why you see a lot of mothers who are constantly exhausted, look completely tired all the time, and are so bitter with life.
So, and like any other human beings, everybody has their own different value systems. By bringing a child into the life, how will a human being change? Right? So the personality of the mother, personality of the father, the child comes with its own temperament. So nothing is going to be solved. But it's an additional responsibility, because generally it's considered that it's the mother's responsibility to take care of the child. So that's the reason that mother is always exhausted, that because she takes it on herself that, okay, it's my responsibility to give the best to this child. And when the partner does not contribute, because that partner who has been irresponsible in relationship before, so nothing is going to change when the new child is, new being is coming to in the child's life. So it is an added responsibility for the mother herself. So and this causes more of guilt, more of bitterness, and and a lot of studies have been showing mothers are also then taking a break from the relationships, and then they say, okay, if the person is not contributing to the relationship, it's better if I only have to do something. That is why there is so much of increase in the divorce rates also. They are saying that, okay, I'll take care of the kid because there is no help from the partner, and the partner is not contributing into the relationship, so better let me just do it alone. At least I will be safe from the emotional turmoil of one relationship.
So tell me another thing. I mean, you yourself are a mother of twins. What were the biggest myths that you faced in the first year of becoming a mother?
That's so beautiful question. And yeah, Sheetal, so the myths that I have, that okay, that I have to completely devote myself to the children, and it's my responsibility. And I think it was more of my thing also, because because of being a perfect mother, you want to be a perfect mother, and living in a joint family system, you always is afraid of the criticism or the shame, or the guilt that, okay, somebody's going to blame you or some criticize you. So you always want to be that perfect mother that nobody gets a chance to say anything to you. So that is one thing, that is of that, okay, to save myself from that criticism, I used to do a lot to prove myself, and I completely given up on the self-care. I didn't focus on what my needs are. So these are the things. And also the second thing, as I told you, in around when I gave birth, and that mother becomes very strong, and that she becomes like a lioness. She has to do everything around her. That also, created a very false image of motherhood in me. And but slowly and slowly, I have realized that these does not help.
True, Dr. Vasdan. If I talk about my own self, and it's been a very recent experience, it continues to be one because, my child is very small. The kind of, myths that I was filled with were all sorts of them. So my child was born in the 8th month. She was a preemie, and, she was massively underweight because I had developed certain preeclampsia sort of, symptoms during my last trimester of pregnancy. So, they had to kind of, do a C-section and ensure that the baby is out so that my blood pressure levels were in control. So, because of that, because she was massively underweight, I was told not to breastfeed her. Now, that became a huge, huge concern with, especially my mother-in-law and a lot of women around me, who were older women from a different generation. And the one thing that was told to me, even if the child would sneeze, was this happened because, you didn't breastfeed her. You couldn't breastfeed her enough. What people don't realize is that it is an exhausting experience for you as a mother as well. It is emotionally draining. It is physically draining for you to go through that entire thing of caring for a child who is extremely, extremely, really small and very, very fragile. And, you have to be constantly there. You are almost always on tenterhooks because you just want everything to go right. All right. So a lot of times, even my parents would say things like that, oh my God, you're being so overcautious. I mean, we've had kids too. You've done fine, But the thing was that their situation was very different from where I was. So I think that, it is also very important for everyone to realize that every mother's situation is very, very different. And every mother, intrinsically knows what is best for their child. And it is very, very important for you to not, kind of kill that voice that is telling you to do a certain thing for your child. You would know what is best for your child. I think the only advice that I can possibly give from my own experiences that, read up a lot, whatever you can, educate yourself, because things are very different from what they were 30 years back or 40 years back when your mother or your mother-in-law gave birth to a child, right? When you were born. And the things have completely changed. The knowledge, the research, everything has changed so much. And now you have access to all of that. So while yes, I mean, you need to kind of listen and be wise about, whatever things are passed on generationally through the wisdom that we have kind of um, acquired over the years and by going through this experience of motherhood. However, there are a lot of things that you will have to reason out as well and understand whether, they apply in today's day and age as well.
Absolutely, Sheetal. That's very, very valid points that you have mentioned. Number one, that I really love the idea of that listening to your inner voice, that intrinsically you know what is the best for your child. That is so, so important because we generally, because of the self-doubt, we generally don't speak up. We don't listen to the inner voice what and start doubting ourselves. Secondly, yes, read a lot. That's also very beautiful. And thirdly, I think I just add on to this is that it's very important to have a sport group, movie sport group, right, where you can open up about your vulnerabilities, where you don't have to be standing up and tall and saying that okay, everything is fine, where you can just share your own vulnerabilities, the struggles that you're facing, and just opening up so that it can, provide you light and connection and the warmth that all the mothers, you connect with. So that will be also very, very helpful. And to
Absolutely.
get rid of
And
the perfect motherhood myth. Yeah.
and one last question, Dr. Vasudha. So I am hoping that, women who hear this podcast will also make their partners hear this podcast. All right. And I really want you to give some advice to their partners about how to be there for a mother.
See, the most important, this is very, very important. The only thing, as we have already discussed, that the mothers goes through a lot of emotional and psychological, physiological changes, and she just wants to stand up tall for her child or for the family. If you can just be there, emotionally available for her and validate her feelings and just telling her that it's okay, whatever you are feeling is right, and give her that confidence, that is what she is looking for. She is very strong, but yes, she needs somebody who can understand that what she is going through, what changes she is going through. And as Sheetal has already mentioned, I would like to, again reinforce that, giving her that time. Okay, I'm taking care of the child. You just have your nap. You just have your food, and you go and go for a walk. I'm there, just doing small, small bits for her. That will bring and that will create a very joyful experience of motherhood for her. A very small, small things, little change things that you do for her is going to make a lot of difference. Being there, understanding her, validating her feelings, is that what all she needs.
Absolutely. That's beautifully put, Dr. Vasudha. So, to all the mothers out there, know that your hard work and dedication do not go unnoticed and you are appreciated more than you know. This is coming from two mothers who work in the space of mental health themselves, that it's okay to not feel connected with your child in the very beginning. It's okay to crave for the lone time you had before. It's okay to seek help, to ask your husband to prepare breakfast or your mom to care for the child while you take a warm bath, to read a book or watch a series, to ensure that you have some me time. It's okay to talk to someone and vent it all out. Because unless you do this, you won't be able to identify with your new life. And that is so, so very important. Being a mother isn't your only identity. There is so much more to you than motherhood. I hope we have been able to answer some questions for you, and I hope that you'd be able to find yourself again during the Mom Wellness Program. So thank you, Dr. Vasudha, for enlightening us with all the very important information. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in.